This is kind of like an avocado. When you head towards the pit, that's where you have the best environment for severe storms. Looking at our weather alerts, no surprise here, we have heat advisories across the area. Oh, I just lost our graphic again. This lightning is causing problems, I'll tell you that. But you know what? All you need to know is that we're going to have that lightning chance in the morning, maybe even popping up in the afternoon, but this heat lasts the entire day.
When icicles form, it's from water that melts off of your roof and runs down the side of a building. Well, here's the thing. You know what else is on your roof? Bird poop. A lot of it. And that water picks it up and freezes it in the ice. You're eating poop.
If you want to take a nibble out of the mic, that is totally okay. I don't think the viewers want to hear the chance for wintry mix anyway. But I'll tell you what, we will warm up by the end of next week, and then you can go and run around to your heart's content with Cheese Stick at your side if you go and adopt him from the Capital Area Humane Society. Halloween's forecast looks like highs will be in the upper 30s, and we're going to be seeing that chance for wintry mix through the trick-or-treating time. So if you're a snake, stay inside. If you're a human, I have a very similar amount of advice. Those molecules are in the smoke, and as that smoke is exposed to UV radiation from the sunlight, it actually breaks down the VOC that's responsible for the wood burning smell. There's the hail that fell on my car this morning. Filled up my hand with it, covered the ground completely. You rolled it around and you could actually see there were several smaller hailstones encased in a tomb of other ice.
Well, when you look outside right now, you might be seeing some clouds and some sunshine and perfect pool weather. Yes, WLNS does have a swimming pool, and you know what? You'd be hard-pressed to pull me out of this thing right now. It's comfortable, and it's great because we don't have any storms just yet. Let's take a look at what we're seeing over on the radar, because we're going to be seeing the chance for some storms. They just aren't here yet. That rain had been moving across Lake Michigan, but if I zoom things out, you'll see it's kind of fizzled, actually. It ran into a little bit of dry air, so good news for us, we're able to buy some dry time before more storms try to redevelop. Temperature-wise, it's getting toasty. We're still in the 70s technically, but there's warmer air just to our south, the 80s, and it's going to keep warming up through the afternoon. These temperatures are not done with us just yet. We have had some heat this summer, and it's been off and on. Some cooler pockets and then the warmer ones. We're in the warmer one right now. This is pool weather. Highs will be in the upper 80s today, and that's going to be with plenty of humidity. We do have humidity and heat combining, and that makes it feel like it's in the upper 90s. When I say pool weather, I mean it. It's going to be very comfortable in the water, not so much outside of it, especially when the storms get going. Let's look at the precision cast because we do have storms on the way. Going forward in time, when we look around 4 or 5 o'clock, we have some discrete cells popping up. That's when they're by themselves, but they're going to quickly line out, creating that line that gusts forward and creating a chance for severe weather too. Now, 7 o'clock, we got a lot of football games kicking off, high school and college. Spartans, let's go. But the radar's also going to be green in spirit, so it might actually delay some games, just depending on if there's lightning nearby. That continues to move towards the east, so we will dry up after sunset. It just might cause some problems for tailgaters. And by problems, I mean severe weather. The Storm Prediction Center does still have us under that marginal risk for severe storms today, and it's mainly going to be because of that chance for damaging wind gusts. You also could have some hail. And as you go towards the east side of the state, we actually have a slight risk. That's a 2 out of 5 on the scale, which is all about confidence. Now, when it comes to what we could see, I mentioned that wind could have gusts up towards 60 miles an hour, but also around quarter-sized hail, which in a pool, quarters, they don't do much. I mean, they might be a nuisance, but you have to remember these storms are lines of storms. They can produce millions of hailstones, and those can cause a lot of problems. Not to mention, these are quarters, the general size of the hail. You could also end up getting some much larger ones, and that really causes a mess. So if you do have any severe storms in your area, make sure that you head inside until they go away. As for the tornado threat, it's still a really limited threat. That's more towards the thumb area of Michigan, so not as much of a concern. Football forecast, the one everyone's concerned about. That lightning is just for the first quarter. It should start to clear up as we go later on. And as always, the forecast gets better after the football games are done. The forecast cleans up, it dries up, and those temperatures will be in the 70s just in time for Labor Day. Jorma, back to you.
Last night, severe storms rumbled through mid-Michigan, and it looks something like this. I've pulled up the archived weather radar, and you can see that they were pretty potent. They're moving from the southwest to the northeast, creating a very interesting track for these storms, particularly when you went down towards Calhoun County. We're slowing down that radar. We're showing you the cell that moved through. Starting up, it's going to move through Calhoun County and then move east, and that is the storm that produced a reported tornado. Now, it's reported. The National Weather Service still has to confirm it. They're going to send crews out when the sun comes up so they can see if there's any damage. But I'll tell you, the radar looked pretty volatile. We're going to look at the wind velocity. I don't show this all that often, but the radar can actually sense which direction the wind is going, whether it's towards the radar or away from it. When you get red and green, there's something in between. That's where we see that rotation that was moving up towards Onondaga and then eventually fizzled out. But that actually had that reported tornado near Springport. So we'll see if that actually becomes confirmed later today. There's that report, like I mentioned, with other reports coming in of hail. That one about around 1 3/4 inch over towards Calhoun County. That's my report. That's because I was woken up by the very loud hail that continued over towards the Lansing area and even on the east side of the state, although we are still waiting on more reports to come in. There's the hail that hit my car, golf ball sized, even up towards hen egg size, which is exactly what was forecasted. Some spiky little bits showing you that not all the hail was the same size. It looked like brains at times, and that is that cold air in the atmosphere at play, using the warm air from the storms to freeze the hail. But now, it looks like the cold air is going to win. As that moves through, it is going to really pick up our wind speeds. We have wind advisories going into effect at 7 o'clock this morning, going to 7 o'clock in the evening. That's for almost all of mid-Michigan. And it's going to be because of wind gusts up towards 40 miles an hour or more. And yes, there are winter weather advisories. It was in the 70s yesterday, and now we're switching it out for some wintry weather. That's going to go from 4 a.m. to 4 p.m. when you head much farther towards our west. You can already start to see the snow moving in off of Lake Michigan. Now for us, we just have a few showers, but they are lacking lightning, so much more benign start to the morning for us. Zooming things out, you see some activity over towards Ohio, but what I'm really focusing on is any chance for snow that we could see continue for the day today. Here's our temperature change. 58 degrees in Lansing, Milwaukee's at 31, La Crosse is over at 14, so significantly colder air is going to be sweeping in today. That's really going to change up what it looks like and feels like outside. We'll start out around 40 degrees this morning, but then we are dropping into the 20s by the afternoon. All of that is with the chance for some rain and snow showers, and those gusty winds sustained 20 to 30 miles an hour, gusting closer to 40. Here's our precision cast for today. There's the rain, kind of just scooting on through. Not expecting a lot of rain or snow, just more in isolated pockets, but those will keep going through the afternoon and possibly even into the evening. As we head overnight tonight, that's going to start to break apart, and then finally, for tomorrow morning, we get to see some sunshine. It is going to be chilly though. Feel the wind chill when you step outside, or don't. Bundle up, because by 5 o'clock, it could feel like it's in the single digits, close to 0. It's weather whiplash, making it feel about 70 degrees cooler than what we had yesterday. Just ridiculously fast cool down, and it's going to stay chilly for tomorrow too, staying with highs in the upper 30s. Now, as we get into the weekend, you see, we recover nicely. We'll have mostly sunny to partly cloudy skies, high temperatures making it back into the 60s, and we'll be in the upper 60s by Monday, but that's with the chance for some showers. Those are going to be getting in the evening, so at least we'll be able to enjoy the heat for the beginning of the day. Not so much after that. And yes, those showers are going to be along with some colder air. It's going to try to move in for the middle of next week. For a large portion of the month of June and even into July, we've been dealing with wildfire smoke from Canada, and it's created scenes like this one in New York, decreasing visibility and also decreasing air quality. You may have noticed it smells like a campfire, but also a hint of something else. And we can explain that using basic chemistry. You see, with wood-burning fires, you see it emit volatile organic compounds, or VOCs. Now, those molecules are in the smoke, and as that smoke is exposed to UV radiation from the sunlight, it actually breaks down the VOC that's responsible for the wood-burning smell. That leaves us with less desirable ones like formaldehyde, benzene, and acrolein. Those smell more like burning plastic or road tar. Either way, it is bad for breathing. Thankfully, though, it looks like our forecast is changing our fortune. With rain on the way, that is going to break down that smoke, take out those fires, and hopefully will clear up our air quality so we can see and breathe a little bit better. It's been a stormy start to summer in mid-Michigan with flooding, damaging winds, hail, and even tornadoes across our area. But have you ever stopped to think about why those storms even form in the first place and how? It actually is tied directly to the sun. The sun releases radiation that travels through space and gets to Earth. Once it travels through the atmosphere, it eventually ends up hitting the ground, where it's absorbed, and as a result, the ground releases heat, creating what's known as a hot air parcel. Think of it kind of like a bubble of hot air. And that bubble is forced to rise when we get, say, a cold front to move in. That colder air goes underneath the bubble, pushes it up in the atmosphere, and when it goes up, it starts to cool. As the air cools, so does the water within that air parcel, and so we start to form clouds, rain, and storms. It's an interesting process, and it's actually mirrored by hot air balloons. They fly on a very similar process with hot air rising. But we could talk about it in the studio. I still say we talk about it outside. Let's take a look. This past week, I went to the Battle Creek Field of Flight Air Show and Balloon Festival in search of a pilot who could help me explain this science, and I found one. His name's Pat Rolfe, and he's been a hot air balloon pilot for over 20 years in the skies across mid-Michigan.
You will be approaching from the south.
After a weather briefing and taking some time to calculate the trajectory of our flights, we all headed over to the field to get the balloons ready for flying. In order to get the balloons in the air, first you have to fill them with air. This is what creates our air parcel, just like with thunderstorms. Next, you fill it with fire. That's what heats up the balloon to the point that the air can lift you off the ground. Once you're up in the air, it becomes a battle between hot and cold air to try to stay afloat.
The balloon is always cooling, so I have to burn every so often to maintain level flight. If I want to drop, I let it cool and drop. If I want to go up, I heat it more and go up.
So once you're in the air, you have to make sure that you keep that hot air going. Otherwise, your air parcel starts to sink.
This process of heating and cooling is continued until eventually you want to end your flight and you head down towards the ground.
I do have a vent in the top that I can open to let hot air out if I want to descend like it landing.
And just like that, we witnessed the process that creates thunderstorms across mid-Michigan while also helping hot air balloons stay in the sky. If you want to see hot air balloons in action, it's actually surprisingly easy in mid-Michigan this month. We have two big events going on, both of them in Jackson. There's the U.S. Women's National Hot Air Balloon Championship, as well as the Hot Air Jubilee. Both of these events are going to have balloons flying through the sky throughout the day, and they're hosting night glows right around dusk. So if you want to head out there, you can find more information by heading to our website, WLNS.com. Reporting up in the sky across mid-Michigan, I'm meteorologist Katie Nickolaou.